To welcome everyone on behalf of the.
So I don't mean to create work it's not easy to get, but if we
I would
have
like to
something-
call this meeting started at 6:33 on behalf of the Board of Education. My name is Karen Meyer. I am very excited to be here to get to hear from both of our wonderful middle schools tonight. We are joined alongside Dr. Weber, our wonderful superintendent, and our leadership team. So with that, let us rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that brings us to our roll call.
All right. President Meyer.
Here.
Vice President Stewart.
Here.
Treasurer McIntyre.
I'm here. Good evening.
Trustee Frazier.
Here.
Trustee Mabry.
Here.
And Trustee Reagan-Mauer.
Here.
And Secretary Campbell-Vitel. I am here.
Excellent. Glad we are all here this evening. That brings us to the adoption of our agenda.
Okay, I will bring forth motion 95 that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion brought forward by Vice President Stewart, supported by Trustee Maurer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that brings us to our consent resolutions.
Okay, I will bring forth motion number 96. That the board accept the consent agenda items for approval as presented. Item 5A, minutes of the March 10th, 2026 Board of Education meeting. 5B, minutes of the March 10th, 2026 closed session meeting of the Board of Education. 5C, overnight and out-of-state field trip request. 5C1, NHS Business Professionals of America Conference in Nashville, Tennessee from May 6th through the 10th, 2026. 5C2, Hillside Middle School 6th grade trip to Camp Kopnaconic. I always mess that one up. In Fenton, Michigan from October 21st through 23rd, 2026. 5C3 NHS football camp in Bluffton, Ohio from July 14th through 16th, 2026.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion brought forward by Vice President Stewart, supported by Secretary Campbell-Vitel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That brings us to our communications.
All right. I am happy to acknowledge that the board has received communications through mpsboe@northvilleschools.org, which come to each one of us. These would be the emails that are sent to us from the community, and every single one of us reads all of the communications. And 6B is the board highlights from Wayne Risa for March 2026.
Okay, and then that brings us already to you, Dr. Weber, for your superintendent's report.
Right on. We have a mic. Ms. Prevo, could you come on up? Ms. Prevo, come on down. Where's she at? Come on up. Now we have to go do something over here. All right? So my guy, I'll get on the mic here. See this little tape right here? Yeah. These are yours. Now you're going to get them in a second. All right, so you hit the block right that way. The world can see us. Isn't that fantastic? Is it true that you graduated from Northville High School?
I did.
No, it's okay.
86.
1986. Is it true? Was it here?
It was on this ground, yes.
This was the high school, right? So it feels like we're losing somebody, not losing, like you're still obviously vibrant, ready to go. But you're going to the other side of the state, I think. And when I first met you and you talked about your career and passion, the work you did at U of M, and what you've done here, I hope what you've noticed is what our board, and I'm sure a few of them are going to say some nice things as well, the NYN report is something that means something to us as a board, and it's more than numbers. What it is you attend to what you pay attention to or what you track. As I look at some of my favorite curriculum nerds, the middle school leaders over there, it's a mantra that they have that you need to measure things. And what you've measured has really brought to light things that for the past 4 years, I know that the board and we've been working on, and you've been working on well before that. But there is a deep need for our kids to have real support, and our parents as well. So we think of the overbook clubs, but what I really appreciate, I want to say this personally, and I'd like you to think about maybe some words that you'd like to say or a person you'd like to thank in your life here. It's got to be a heavy feeling to leave a place that you graduated from, that you've put so much into. But your approach at really looking, when we're talking about our concerns about relationships between kids, and going towards the restorative practices aspect and incorporating that into your programming, even though it wasn't part of your programming until 3 years ago, is something I want to say I'm really, truly grateful for. And we have some gifts here for you. But your lifetime of service to other people is something that, as I look around this room and I see we're honoring educators tonight, we're honoring you tonight. Here's a little trick that people don't know, and I know you know this. People say, oh, it must be hard. Like, you deal with a lot of tough stuff. The reality is, and I think you'll agree, that here's the secret. It's fantastic. Helping people is fantastic, and that's what you've done for your time here with us and then at U of M before then. Is there a particular person that you'd like to say thank you to, or the community or anything like that? Please feel free to.
I just want to express my thanks for the Northville community. As you mentioned, I grew up here, raised my family here. Both my kids were NHS grads. It is such a pleasure to be able to give back to the community that has given my family so much and prepared my kids for, and myself for our future. And to be able to work alongside all of the staff, the building principals, the counselors, the social workers, the administrators, teachers of this district has been such a highlight of my career. It really has been, to be able to support our kids. Most of my background has been in underserved communities, and a lot of people think, oh, you're going to Northville and it's just such a cushy place to work with kids and families, and kids and families are the same no matter where they come from. And to be able to recognize some of the barriers that some of our kids face and to be able to respond to that has been professionally so exhilarating. So I thank everyone for your partnership and your support over the years. It's been great. Thank you.
The idea again of giving, it's people look at it as giving time and stuff, but what you really also gave was you created this network. You created this ethos in the community where, and from a local standpoint, we need to take care of each other. And in public education or in the work that you do, what we know is it doesn't matter where somebody might worship on the weekend, who they might vote for. None of that matters. Like, as public servants, being here to serve everybody, because we all are human beings, not human doings. And helping kids recognize that early, and we talked about this before, prevention. The sooner we can help kids figure some things out in their lives so they don't have to wait till, like maybe I did at 35, is a much better way to go. And if you had one enduring memory of something as you point the car west, hopefully with a big smile on your face, what's something that you will quietly smile to yourself and just be super proud of, and feel free to brag on yourself a little bit?
I think professionally, when we went through our strategic planning process in 2019, and as you mentioned, looking at ways that we can get ahead of some of the issues so that we weren't seeing so many referrals in responding, and being able to infuse some creativity and some, research and solid practice into just really kind of totally turning NYA into NYN. It's been really a great experience.
That should put a big smile on your face. And on behalf of our administrators who utilize your services as well, and the families who, It's not something you necessarily go and talk about at a soccer game that my kid had to go through 6 sessions at NYN, but those families quietly, I'm sure, are very grateful as well. And I'm sure a couple board members would like to say some things as well, but we have some things. The flowers you can keep for a while. They're beautiful. And Megan, thank you. And then in the bag, we have a little something for you to wear proudly on the west side of the state. And if you're ever in a rival like Rockford or something around there, feel free to wear it because you came from here. All right? You came from here. All right? Thank you so much. Be well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
If the board would like to
Anyone
have
have
some
yes,
words.
please.
So Amy will let you sit down with your wonderful gifts, but I feel moved to really acknowledge what you represent to us in terms of your advocacy for kids. And it's not easy. Advocacy is not easy. And it's more than just the showing up and representing, but it's also the explaining to people. It's the education, the demand for educating people, and the defending. That's energy that you commit in your advocacy that I think needs to be recognized. That's the challenge of being a good advocate. We all are community people in some regard. But I think that what's impressive, and I looked at just reviewed again the numbers on your 2025 annual report for the extent of your leadership and what you've accomplished. And one of the statistics that caught my attention was the reach out into community. And it's easy, in your own little room, you can run programs, but you've got to spread them and reach, constantly stretching out to unserved and aware people in the community. And the growth and the reach of your leadership is impressive. 3,400 individuals in 1 year. 3,400 individuals reached. And there are some other numbers about counts on programs and programming, hours of programming, but the other number that caught my attention as a community interventionist myself was 950 community members engaged. So it's not only reach, but then engage them, connect with them, hook them in, bring them in, have them benefit. And that is an impressive number for your leadership in the organization in NYN. And that's the grit and hard work. That doesn't come easy. That is the force of your leadership and your nature, I think, to motivate and to make people curious enough to respond back. So I think your time here has been seriously impactful. Seriously impactful. You are a fierce and courageous leader. We will always remember you as an exemplar and go forward with all kinds of accomplishments that you've brought to us. So thank you very much for that.
Can I go too? Yeah. So when I ran for school board the first time, one of the reasons that I ran was I was so concerned about kids and making sure that they were wrapped with care in our community. And I remember some of our early conversations, Amy, about really digging into this work and being brave and bringing our mental health background to really embed in the community. And just those tentacles, right? They keep growing and they keep growing and they keep growing. And for me personally, I've really appreciated our candid conversations about things that we've seen with our own kids. And for me, that really felt supportive and like a safe place that as two strong women leaders in our community, we're doing this because we know if our kids are struggling, other kids are struggling. And so that impact is real. And I'm so grateful for our many years of a partnership. Even when I started working at Reset Brain and Body, sitting down with you and Carrie Ann and talking about, okay, what are the other resources people are asking us too as a group practice? And we're just getting started. And here we are 6 years later. things are different. You and I had a really heart-to-heart conversation last year too, that I walked away saying, oh my gosh, she sees something in me that I wasn't sure I was seeing in myself. And I'm so grateful that you've given me that gift. And I know you've given that gift to so many other people. Those numbers of 3,400 people, that's amazing. I don't think anybody can hold a candle to that. And I also know that you have been working part-time, right? That this has been a part-time, but not really taking just part-time hours. Your dedication to Northville is above and beyond. And I'm so grateful for you. And I know we'll stay connected and our reach will continue to stretch, and wishing you all the best. And I can say for so many families that I'm wearing my suicide prevention pin because I feel like this work is about suicide prevention in our community. And we have lost too many kids to suicide, but we've also kept a lot of kids alive. And so I choose to look at those numbers. And so I'm thankful for your work in that. So thankful. So go on and do even more amazing things, but take a break first until like maybe next December.
Yes, I just want to highlight, I think I was really struck by what Dr. Campbell Vitale said about the amount of people, and then Treasurer McIntyre highlighting that you've done this on a part-time basis. That's really incredible. Every month we get a report from you, and it just really, I think, strikes us about the importance of our work, as well as motivates us to continue. So I appreciate that. I just want to give a shout out to our community, that the township and the city continually support this. We're very fortunate to be in a community that supports the Northville Youth Network and all that you do for our students and the broader community as a whole. I do want to feel like, go forward and enjoy yourself. Like you said, I mean, you've left it in wonderful hands, you left it better than you found it. And I think it's going to just continue to be a highlight in our community. So thank you so much for what you've done, and thank you for how you've left it for us as you move forward. So I think that brings us to our ABCD awards. So I am going to kick it off. Yeah, I don't know if this screen isn't on. But I'm just going off this, so yeah, okay. Yep, that's fine. So I am going to kick off our ABCD awards, and I am going to kick it off with one of our kindergarten teachers from Ammerman, Kathy McMaster. And she was nominated by a parent who said, the question is, how has this staff member went above and beyond? And the better question would be, how hasn't she? My son had a rough time transitioning to kindergarten, and Ms. McMaster has been a huge support to both him and I. She definitely continues to go above and beyond to ensure he succeeds every day, which as a parent to a child just starting their elementary years is so very appreciated. Ms. McMaster has made us feel so welcome at Ammerman, and it is clear she cares deeply about her students. So congratulations, Ms. McMaster, on getting this ABCD award. Is she here this evening? No? Okay. Well, congratulations to her just the same.
Well, interestingly enough, I have Mr. McMaster, who's following next on the list here. I am pleased to notify Mr. McMaster that he was nominated by a student who made this submission on his behalf. I might step off script for a minute to just say student nominations are particularly meaningful to teachers because colleagues and parents are frequently we're hearing from as a teacher, but when a student feels motivated to write a nomination, that is a really unique and really important moment for all teachers. So Mr. McMaster, this is what one student had to say about you. Mr. McMaster makes learning fun every day, which is the best. He is funny. He makes us laugh. He also tells us stories about when he was growing up. Finally, he is kind and makes learning fun. I think he deserves the ABCD award for helping me look forward to being in class and to enjoy my school. So those are the words of one of his students, And Mr. McMaster, it tells us a lot about the climate in your class and the importance of relationship between teachers and their students and creating an opportunity for all kids to learn. So with that, we thank you very much for your contributions to your students. With this award is Mr. McMaster's here. All right, we have small tokens, and the letters will get to the teachers that we're recognizing tonight. So thank you very much.
All right, I'm up next. I have Ms. Kinsler, Ammerman Elementary teacher. Is Ms. Kinsler here? Okay, well, stand up. You have a nomination from a student and a teacher. Yes, so first a student. She always helps me if I have a bad day. She's taught me strategies to calm down if I feel overwhelmed. She's really nice and so kind and really awesome. I feel so happy when I am in her class. She works hard to teach us, and she really cares about us. This is from like 3rd grade, right? Wow. The parent says, from the very first day of 3rd grade, it was clear that Ms. Kinsler pours her heart and soul into her classroom. Her communication has been exceptional, thoughtful, and always focused on building connection with the kids. In her weekly newsletter, she includes a section called Detective Questions that are tailored to each week's learnings, encouraging dialogue and curiosity alongside our children to better understand how their school days are going through their eyes. Her opening note to the kids on the first day was a reminder that they are important, seen, and loved. This is kept in my son's desk drawer. Ms. Kinsler goes above and beyond in every way. She takes time to notice the small details, whether it's our son's unique learning style, a moment of kindness, a change in his mood, and a caring check-in, or an area where extra encouragement might help. Her dedication to his success is felt, and her care extends far beyond academics. We are so grateful for the energy, compassion, and attention she brings to the classroom. Our son has a true desire to head to the school every day, excited to learn, and it is in large part due to how she shows up. It's not just what she does, but how she does it. Thank you, Ms. Kinsler, for pouring so much love into teaching. Our son is so much better for it. All right, come on up.
Are you guys matching?
Hey, Karen, are we going in that order or this? I'm going in this order because I can't see.
Well done.
Okay. So I'm either next or I'm last. You are last. Okay. Melissa's next.
Okay, so we're going in a slightly different order than on the screen, but I will go next. Is Mr. Haverkate here tonight? I can't see everyone. Okay. Mr. Haverkate is the band teacher here at Hillside. He's been nominated by a parent and teacher. And they say, I want to nominate Mr. Haverkate in the broader music department for an ABCD award. Mr. Haverkate hosted an inaugural choir info night recently at Hillside Middle School for rising 6th graders. The program was outstanding. Within 5 minutes, Mr. Haverkate had nearly 100 kids sounding like a trained and seasoned singing group. As a fellow educator, it was impressive. I also want to extend recognition to the elementary music teachers too for establishing a strong foundation in music education from the elementary level. Our student who will be moving up to Hillside is most excited about choir next year. Kudos, Mr. Haverkate, and the NHS music program on sharing your passion for music and hosting a great welcome to the middle school for our students and parents. So thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, I think I'm next.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think Mr. Brooks is here. Is he? Okay, so this award is for Mr. Jason Brooks, who is an 8th grade ELA teacher. I believe mostly 8th grade here at Hillside. A student made this submission for Mr. Brooks, and the student says, and I think many families and students would agree with this, that Mr. Brooks is an amazing teacher and author who has encouraged and inspired me in the short time I've known him. His classes are always exciting, and he has such a creative teaching style. I have learned so much from him, both academic and life lessons. Mr. Brooks is energetic and enthusiastic. He keeps a high energy in his class to keep us going every day. He is positive and supportive towards all his students, and he really makes all of us feel heard. Mr. Brooks will answer any question and tell any story from his life, no matter how personal or embarrassing. He makes it easy to share our own experiences, and I never feel like I can't tell him something. Student says, I look forward to his class every day, and it never disappoints me. I am very lucky to have him as my teacher this year. And I will underscore the life lessons that my son does not have Mr. Brooks this year, but he has informed me that he has to make some amends to Mr. Brooks to be allowed back in his classroom. And I think that that is a good life lesson for kids to learn. I have no idea what my child did. He will not tell me, but I appreciate that Mr. Brooks holds a firm line because I think that's important role modeling for kids to get, not just at home and also at school. So congrats to you, Mr. Brooks. Wish you were here with us tonight. Appreciate all the efforts that you do to be such a great role model for our kids and enthusiastic in all of the things mentioned.
Okay, well, I get the pleasure of giving this award to Mr. Doug Walters, who is a teacher at Meads Mill Middle School. Mr. Walters, you here? No? Okay. So Mr. Walters was nominated by a student, and the student wrote in and said, Mr. Walters has taught me math differently than any other teacher I've had in the past. He shows us how math builds on itself. Besides just showing us how to do the math, he also shows us how and why it works and when to use it in real life. He wants us to understand and to succeed, so he will show us in different ways until we understand. He says that math can be a dull subject, so he's always sure to crack a few jokes. He wants us to like math and not to think of it as something we have to do. He has made my understanding of math much stronger and has helped me with the subject that I used to dread. And I can kind of connect with that too, because my oldest child was not a big fan of math, and when they got into his class in 7th grade, every week they were coming home and sharing something about math that they had picked up in the class. So it was a great turnaround. So thank you, Mr. Walters.
All right, I will round out our ABCD awards tonight. Oh, and look who's here, Miss Jill Anderson, who I have the distinct pleasure of giving this award to. A wonderful mental health professional, a friend, and former colleague from Northville High School. And this was submitted on behalf of a colleague. Jill consistently goes above and beyond in her efforts to support students' academic success, emotional well-being, and overall development. She is an advocate for students and works closely with teachers and families to ensure that every child's needs are met. And if you've ever had the pleasure of working with Jill, you would know all of those wonderful things about her. So thank you, Jill.
Okay, well, congratulations to those who got recognized tonight, and thank you to those who took the time to nominate them. And that turns us over to the highlight, the reason why we're here, our presentation from our wonderful middle schools here at Hillside and Meads Mill.
Thank you, board. Want to say thank you for having us here so that we can celebrate the work that we have been doing and the people who have been doing it. I also want to say thank you for this new format. I think Ms. Provo and I both appreciate being able to highlight the things that are happening in both buildings and that collaborative work that we're engaged in this year. So I think you'll see that theme kind of coming through about cooperation, collaboration, and consistency. So I'm not going to get too far into that because that's what's going to show up in a little bit, but I will turn it over to Mr. Lambden and Ms. Moffitt, who will kind of highlight some of the student focus pieces so they can go home early.
So I know that both Meads and Hillside Student Council has been working really hard this year, doing a lot of cool stuff for the community and also for their grade levels. And so they are student leaders. And unless you'd like to add something, I'm going to turn it over to the students. Okay, so come on up.
Hi, I'm Madeline Sonhang. I'm Josie Giratowski. And I'm Anna Chapman. And we're the 6th grade student council for Hillside Middle School. So the accomplishments that we've done this year, we've done a community service project, which was having the whole grade make cards for Northville Point Senior Center. And we had all the 6th grade seminar classes make fun holiday cards for the senior center, and then we made it into a contest. So each seminar class was competing against each other to make the most cards. The winning class had 140 cards. So with that and all of the other cards, there were over 300 cards.
That following Friday, me and Madeline went to the Northville Point Senior Living Center. There, we dropped off all of the amazing cards that we collected. After that, we had one more overflowing box of cards, and Madeline took them to Story Point Senior Living Center. Madeline got to pass out each cards personally to the memory care in the main lobby. There were many retired teachers that were thrilled to hear about Hillside. One lady said that this was the first card she had gotten all year.
For our goals and future plans, we are planning to do a 6th grade pep rally for the end of the year celebration. Another one of our projects is to do a teacher appreciation gift with a coffee cart and donut cart for the teachers at our school. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the 7th grade student council president, Charlotte Roberts.
I'm Vice President Ava Chapman.
I'm student treasurer Adam Ibrahim.
And I'm student secretary Ava Hussein. The vice president, Ava Chapman, and I were fortunate enough to attend a leadership conference earlier this year. There we met other student leaders, and through games and note-taking, we learned how to have great leadership for the upcoming school year.
7th grade student council is proud to announce about our winter candy cane fundraiser where we raised hundreds of dollars. We got $495. We raised it for Northville Civic Concern for families with food insecurities.
Since Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up after spring break, the 7th grade student council has been planning gratitude messages. These gratitude messages will be giving to the teachers from students writing to show how much we really appreciate them.
As the year approaches its close, 7th grade student council is also planning on an end of year celebration where we will have a Kona ice truck and have some outside time as a grade level. We are so excited to share this moment with our peers to end off the year in a great way. And now I'll hand it off to 8th grade.
Hello, I am Asha Sharma, and I am the 8th grade student council treasurer.
I'm Suri Mosra, and I'm the vice president.
We wanted to start off by sharing what we've done so far in 8th grade student council. Firstly, in February, we hosted a bake sale to donate money to the Michigan Ovarian Cancer Alliance, which is an organization that promotes awareness and funds research for ovarian cancer. We hosted a bake sale that sold brownies, cookies, cake pops, muffins, and macaroons for 8th grade lunch for 2 weeks. After paying back the school, we managed to donate $628 to the organization.
Then a second fundraiser we completed was to raise money for our own organization. We sold candy games during 8th grade lunch and before first hour for the week leading up to Valentine's Day. The items sold included Sour Patch Kids, Airhead Extreme Belts, Nerds Gummy Clusters, chocolate, and mini plush animals. We delivered these before Valentine's Day, a Friday, to students as Valentine's Day fell on Saturday.
Next, looking ahead, we plan to complete 2 projects next month. Firstly, we're going to gift our student staff a celebration for teacher appreciation as we're so grateful for all they do for us. We have sent out a form asking suggestions of what beverages they may enjoy, and we plan to send out a form later this week for teachers to be able to order what drink they may like. We have planned to acquire those beverages, tie them with a ribbon, along with messages that student body has written.
Moving on, in late April, we plan to host the Raider Games during lunch for about 2 weeks to fundraise for our organization. These are carnival-style games including ring toss and beanbag toss that students can pay to play. If they do well enough, they'll be eligible to receive prizes, including candy.
Thank you.
Hello, we are the Meads Mill Student Council, and I'm the president, Jabril Masawi.
My name is Maria Medina. I'm vice president. My name is Sonika Iyengar, and I'm also vice president.
During the beginning of the year, we hosted a fall pep assembly, which showcased some of the sports that Meads Mill offers, like basketball and volleyball and cross country. And we also had some competitive games that made the pep rally pep assembly a lot more entertaining. Then we had the 50th celebration, which showcased the history and a lot of the awards that Meads Mill has won over the years. And then we took a trip to Macomb, I think, and we did a lot of leadership training and activities, which really led up to the dance that we're going to do later in the spring for 8th grade.
In the week of Valentine's Day, we sold candygrams to all students, and we made around $400 that we are saving up and using towards the combined Meads Mill and Hillside school dance. Throughout the school year, we also ran many Spirit Weeks, including Inclusion Week, where we used Spirit Week to spread kindness and inclusivity around the school.
And for upcoming events, we have Teacher Appreciation Week to show how much we love all of our teachers around the school, and for the 5th grade visit coming up to showcase Meads Mill to all of the 5th graders upcoming. Thank you.
Lastly, this brings us to our large project, the annual 8th grade dance. This year, it will happen on Friday, May 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. in this very space. Different from past years, we're having a combined 8th grade dance along with the Hillside and Meads Mill. This means we're planning the event along with the Meads Mill Student Council. As previously stated, we are fundraising for the event right now as Meads Mill. We frequently hold meetings, and we're planning on sorting out the large details soon.
We have also selected a theme for the event, A Midnight in Manhattan or New York City. We landed on this theme in 3 steps. Firstly, we took theme suggestions from both schools, student council members, and we got about 30 suggestions. Then our executive board decided on 6 of those suggestions that would be suitable for the event. Then those 6 themes became voting options for our entire 8th grade student body for both schools, and the students voted on the theme they wanted for the event, which ended up being A Midnight in Manhattan. We then announced this as our official theme.
In addition to the dance, we plan to have a Spirit Week for both schools' 8th graders in the week leading up to the dance with dress-up days. That is what the dance will be, and that brings us to the end of Hillside's 8th grade Student Council's endeavors for this year. Thank you so much for all the support you give us to do these things for our classmates and our communities. Thank you.
All right, so hopefully already you can kind of begin to hear some of the themes that we'll explore a little bit this evening, whether it is our students, our teachers, or us as a collaborative administrative team. That has been the goal this year, and the thing we want to explore with you, really what we've been working on. So our collaborative goal, I think Ms. Provo and I, have been to create an equity of experience in every hallway, every classroom in both middle schools. Not a Hillside experience, not a Meads Mill experience, but a Northville experience, and not to minimize the individual character and identity of each building. But I think there is room for growth in some of the things that we do in order to plan those day-to-day things that happen in a classroom. So I want to say thank you to the Colt team and to the board for giving us as much PD time as we can get, because man, are those full days really crucial to this work that we're doing, trying to do that in an hour and a half little sliver of time as we used to. By the time you drive over to Meads Mill or you drive over to Hillside and it's 4 o'clock at the end of the day and everybody's cooked, it's really hard to make progress on this work. So thank you for some of those structural things that have made this work possible. This year, the teachers' work has been on that foundational building block of a guaranteed and viable curriculum, which, boy, are you going to hear more about that than you really want to tonight from two of the biggest nerds that there are, because, boy, this is our favorite thing to talk about. In short, it is us encouraging staff, collaboration, and conversation on all topics teaching and learning. I think when anybody ever asks, hey, Mr. Jones, what are you focusing on this year? My answer has been the same for the last 10 years. I focused on teaching and learning. And I think encouraging our staff to do likewise upholds our commitment to all, to make sure that every kid in every classroom, regardless of which teacher you have, regardless of which building that you're in, 6th grade science is 6th grade science, no matter where you are. So that has been our goal this year. We'll talk a little bit about how we've gotten there. So, Ms. Provo.
All right, so as Mr. Jones said, this is work that both of us enjoy very much. I'm not sure it's shared with everyone else, but this is something that is so foundational to the work that we do as a school system that it has to be forefront and our highest priority. So as we talk about this today, we want to bring in our MyKIP, the school improvement planning process that came up with 2 goals. Our critical thinking and authentic partnerships, and then also looking at 5D, which is our framework for teaching and learning, and how that connects with the work that we're doing and the work that we're asking our teachers to do, and then talking about this collaborative time that we've had so far this year. So I'll let this play and then I'll talk through it. And I want to just say that we acknowledge that this is a different community, but the principles are the same.
Standards is that in this new era of what's expected for kids, with the bar being raised so considerably, that we can't leave anything to chance. If we believe that it's every student's civil right to have choices available to them after they leave our K-12 system, then we have to have a curriculum that's guaranteed.
I started working with Aloha Huber Park about 4 years ago, but very intensely for the last 3 years. Once we really started talking about what are the Common Core state standards in mathematics, how are we going to use the curriculum materials to make sure all students learn it, and how do we build in that guaranteed and viable curriculum to make sure that we make a promise to the community that regardless of teacher that your child has, this is what your child will learn.
Because you need to know what goal you're chasing. You need to know what level you need to get those kids to. If you don't know what proficiency looks like before you start instructing, your view on proficiency could change depending on how well the students are doing. So you want to have the bar set before you start teaching so that you can get the students to that proficiency.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump in right away with our learning target. Take about 5 seconds to read it to yourself.
I have the learning target up here for our math class, and I'm going to read it first, and then it'll be your turn, okay?
Today, our learning target is I can solve fraction word problems
involving addition, subtraction, and multiplication using visual models. Muy bien.
I have to understand the learning targets. I have to know where my students are going. My students need to know where they're going. So I have to share with them what I'm asking them to do. This is absolutely a collaborative effort. It's not about me. It's all about understanding what the target is asking. Where do I need to look to make sure that my students are being successful?
When we do our maps, I mean, the standards are our top priority. So everything that we do in our curriculum maps always goes back to the standards. When we create our assessments, we go back to the standards. When we are teaching lessons, we create targets for every single lesson. Every kid in the 5th grade and in the school has had access to priority standards and national standards as well.
We collaborate to make sense of the standards, we create common assessments to measure success, and we analyze results to know where we stand and to decide what to do next. What we have discovered in Aloha Hero Park is that we have to think in a simpler way. That's when you are able to connect the goal with the reality that you have, when you are capable to dream because you are realistic, when you have a knowledge, whatever high it is, because you know that you can take your students there. So when we are talking about progress in Aloha Hero Park, it's not love. It's just that systematic thinking that brings everything together in a really simple but logical way.
So again, this is a different community than our community, but again, this is the work that all school districts do to get to that foundational work. And I'm so thrilled that we get to engage in that work, and want to say thank you to the Office of Instruction for their leadership, Emily Plonsky and Crystal Mohammed, and allowing us to get this work started and continue it. So just like we do with our kids, we want to make sure that our purpose is clear to our teachers. And so we wanted to make sure that we shared our broader purpose with them. So I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Ignani.
So just as our teachers are linking state standards with learning targets every day for our students, we are asking teachers to collaboratively draw a roadmap for learning for the district, determining the order in which standards are taught, crafting learning targets and success criteria for our students, and building a framework of lessons and assessments that cultivate learning. This curriculum work aligns very nicely with our 5D framework. At the same time, as we're having these conversations and making these decisions, intentionality is important. Student learning shouldn't happen by chance. When our instructional decisions are intentional and aligned, our students have more equitable access to new knowledge and new skills.
So guaranteed and viable curriculum, again, is what we commit to as a district that every student will learn, regardless of the teacher or the classroom. And we make sure that that is provided for all students, all learners in our system. So back in 2014, since 2014, we have been adding to Atlas, adding our curriculum materials to Atlas, and we've continued to revise them over the years. As my KIP team had been working the previous 2 years, the teachers and administrators on the team really expressed this need to have time together across buildings, both horizontally within your grade level bands or your building, and then also vertically, like from 6 to 12, right? That gives teachers a really good idea of where to place things, where things might be covered again, where they might need to spiral around and hit on those again. So we wanted to make sure that our teachers had that time. And so again, thank you so much for that time that we get to dedicate to this work. And very importantly, a guaranteed and viable curriculum is a requirement for accreditation. I mean, it is something that we need to do foundationally, but we also needed to qualify for grants. It's part of our IB accreditation process as well. So while it does all of these wonderful things in the classroom, it's also one of those things that we do need to check boxes to make sure that we can provide this to our students. And finally, I included this because as education is ever changing, right? Our teachers are struggling with keeping up with the workload. And so I think one thing that really sticks out to me is that curriculum work was never meant to be done alone. Teaching is a collaborative experience, and we do better when we have as many voices in the room with as much expertise and data. And so, asking teachers to give us a chance in working through this work this year and saying that it is easier when you have someone to work with who can try things out, bring different things to the table. Hey, did you try this lesson? Did that go terribly for you? Yeah, it went bad for me. What could we do? And so having, teachers be able to work together to lighten their load and also develop their curriculum to that next level when it's not just one person, but you have the whole group working together.
All right, that's me. So, where does it live? The foundations, as I think you heard in the video, are standards, right? Whether those are state standards, national standards, that is the beginnings and the foundation for everything that we design thereafter, right? How are we going to meet these X number of standards? And X sometimes can be a lot. The adopted materials that we use to teach those standards, the books, the resources, all of those things that the board approves money for, where does all of that then go? So as Ms. Provo said, Atlas is our curriculum warehouse. We can point parents or people that are approving grants or IB, what do you do in 6th grade science? Go to Atlas, right? When we get concerned community members who might wonder what's happening in a certain class, we can say, you're welcome to examine that on Atlas, and everything that you need will be right there. So again, as Ms. Provo said, part of that is a little bit of the checking of boxes. I wouldn't say that every day a teacher goes to their classroom, fires up Atlas and says, what am I doing today? That's not really how it works. That's kind of the mile-high view. The day-to-day version is Schoology, but that is fueled by all of those things above it, right? The unit plans turn into daily lesson plans, and that is what is delivered to kids. But that is built upon that foundation of standards and curriculum and resources. When I started teaching 20 years ago, I remember I got the job, I was very excited. They walked me to the room, they gave me a set of keys, and they said, there you go. I said, okay, so what might one do then in, I think at the time I was teaching 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade English. I said, I figured it out. Well, how do I figure it out? There was no Atlas. I remember having dinner with a colleague later on. I did my student teaching in history. Nobody was hiring history teachers, so I got a job teaching English. So I remember asking, so standards, what do you do with the standards? And she said, I kind of keep them in my desk. I take them out like once in a while and look at them, but in general, I just kind of do what I want. Okay. And that wasn't unique to where I taught. The ability to close your door and kind of just generally do what you want has been part of education. And I think this is an active effort against that.
I'd like to contrast my experience as a first-year teacher. I got my job 11 days before the school year started, and I got my textbook, and I got a binder with my curriculum maps in it, with our anchor activities, our common assessments, the standards, potential learning targets that we could use. And it was such a game changer and has really framed my thinking for that. And I just think about how different those two experiences are. And when we look at the biggest indicator of achievement is quality teachers, how do we facilitate that, right? How do we make all of those things easier, more consistent, and do it with fidelity?
And I think, as Mr. Ignati said, doing that with purpose, right? I figured it out. I had some colleagues that kind of helped me figure it out, but that wasn't mapped out, right, for me as a new teacher and as somebody who does all the hiring here, thinking about the teacher that I'm going to hire next year. And when they get here, to be able to say, I can direct you to Atlas. That'll give you that kind of mile-high view of what we're doing in those classes. And then, Schoology, I can give you access to the master courses. I can give you access to the other teachers, but at least to look at Schoology to understand what standards we're covering, in which order, for how long, and how they're going to be assessed. That was light years ahead of what I started with as a new teacher. I want to thank you, even though she's not here, Mrs. Polanski, for mapping out this long-term plan. Again, as Mr. Ignani said, purpose, what we expect from our kids, what we expect from our teachers, and I think what our COLT team expects from us to say, this is where we're going. Okay, so year one, we're going to work on those public-facing Atlas portions. Let's get those things up to date. We've been nibbling away at it for several years. Let's get it locked down. So by the end of that year, we're then ready to talk about what those common assessments might look like. Again, with the idea that sixth grade math should look like sixth grade math. It should be assessed in a similar way so the teachers can engage in those conversations. I think with that theme of collaboration and bringing the two buildings together, I, as principal of Hillside Middle School, don't demand that everything be done the way that it's done at Hillside. If there is a great practice in somebody's classroom at Meads Mill, I want to know about it, and I want my teachers to know about it. And I think Ms. Provo would say the same thing, that let's figure out the best way to teach sixth grade math. Let's measure it the same way. Let's have those conversations, because if Dr. Weber is knocking it out of the park, I want to look at his data and say, how do you do that? Every time we talk about this, your kids are outperforming. How do we do it? Right? And then I want to start doing it that way. So that was going to be kind of the beginnings of the conversation we will have in April. And the conversations will carry into next year. And then kind of a little bit more granular in year three, some of those common experiences, because I can look at Dr. Weber's data and figure out what he's doing. Now I need to know how he's doing it, right? What are those common experiences? What are those anchor activities that we're going to say, no matter which building you're in, whose classroom you're in, we're all going to do this because we know it works and we know it's meaningful. And that's how we get a little bit closer to that equity conversation. So where we started a little bit this year, this is a little bit more of an outdated image because we've been showing a version of this slideshow to teachers, basically at every PD day and most department meetings that we've been having on and on and on and on throughout the year. So we kind of started with a review of what existed, right? What do we have? Is it green? We're solid. Is it yellow? Like we're working on it. Or is it red? In which case we've got a lot more work to do. So again, kudos to Mrs. Polanski and Ms. Muhammad and Mrs. Lawson. Jen Lawson has been shouldering a lot of the technology burden. The ladies in the Office of Instruction, Ms. Osterhoff, Ms. Pitkin, for putting together some of these things so that we can really maximize that teacher time. They don't have to build spreadsheets. All of those things are there waiting for them so we can really maximize that time. So kind of starting with, where are we and beginning to update that during our PD sessions and then reviewing each other's courses, sixth grade, looking at seventh grade, looking at eighth grade. So we can kind of get that vertical view. I heard Ms. Provo talking about our MyKIP work. That is some of the foundational things because as we got those teachers together for those 2 years, what we heard pretty consistently over time was we need time and we need time together, right? As a middle school group or as a group of English teachers, we just need time to engage in this work. So starting on that foundation of standards, right? Whether that's NGSS or Common Core or state standards, that is the building block upon which we feed units into Atlas, thinking about our 5D instructional framework, right? Because just having standards doesn't tell you how you're going to teach them, and how you're going to assess them, and how you're going to cover them. And then having common unit plans by course. In middle school land, that means MYP, right? You don't opt in, you don't opt out, covers all of our kids, all of our classes. High school is a little bit different. We've got MYP classes and DP classes and non-IB classes and science classes. So they've got a lot more different unit plan templates than we do here. But again, that goal is consistency. If you're teaching seventh grade science, we're all feeding into the same template. We're all using that same template to feed our Schoology classes to dictate what's happening in the class day to day. Now, as spirited professionals, man, I think what I'm doing is really great. And you can continue to do what you're doing over there, but change is good for other people, maybe not so much for me. So what I will say is we planned out, knowing that people are real passionate about what they do. What happens if we can't agree? So we start with the teacher teams, right? You guys try to hash it out, right? Have conversations. What's going to fit? What's going to work? What kind of compromises are we willing to have? If you can't do that, then we've got 2 department chairs. They can weigh in, right? If you guys can't decide, they can weigh in and they can decide. If the 2 department chairs can't agree, okay, well then as building administrators, I'm happy to weigh in. I don't think you want me to. I've never taught art. I don't teach science. I'm passable in ELA and history, but beyond that, it's a crapshoot. And if we can't get beyond that, okay, well then we can continue to climb that ladder. As you can imagine, no classroom teacher wants me telling them what to teach on a given day in their classroom. So even in some of the difficult situations, we had a few that we anticipated, conversations that we have been skirting for several years, knowing like we're going to put them in that room and I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see what happens. In about 15 minutes, they figured it out on step 1. Right? We just had to put them in the room together with this expectation is that you're going to figure it out and you're going to align it. And again, even some of our trickier ones, it didn't take very long. So our PD overview, I kind of gave you the year-long view, but this is how it has kind of shaken out from month to month. Establishing that purpose, right, for those teachers no longer is, Meade's going to look this way and Hillside going to look this way. We're going to start to bring those things together, right? So let's see what's in Atlas and do that self-audit. There we go. We will continue and build and revise, right? Because some courses, depending on how many teachers teach them and how far along they were, they might have been all green across that board. Other teachers that might have 1 or 2 teachers for 6th grade and 7th grade and 8th grade. That's a lot of work for one person to do. And I think Ms. Provo was very good about highlighting that work is hard to do by yourself. Collaboration makes that much, much easier. It also facilitates that teacher learning. But I don't have 7 German teachers. I have 1 German teacher. So she has to do all of that work by herself. She's not going to be in the same boat as Language and Literature 8, where there's 6 different teachers all teaching one thing. The peer review kind of was scheduled for January, and that shifted a little bit. So then it kind of got into February, became the peer review, where again, owing to that MyKIP feedback, the middle school teachers and the high school teachers don't get together very often. So consequently, they don't always know really what's happening in a classroom. So we did that as a vertical group. I met with all of the English teachers in the media center at the high school, and 8th grade would look at 9th grade, and 7th grade would look at 10th grade, and then we'd kind of look all around to kind of really get an accurate picture of what is and isn't happening in a given classroom. From there, we did the district review of their review. And again, thank you to Jen Lawson for her AI sorcery in creating a way for us to feed a lot of those Atlas units into AI to let us know what's missing. And again, in kind of our AI philosophy, human in and human out, we met at Meads Mill a couple of Fridays ago. As luck would have it, between all of us, I think we've got most of the cores and some of the electives covered. So we kind of chopped up all of those things, spent 8 hours with AI, with Atlas, kind of going through all those things so that we could then provide feedback to teachers to say, okay, we've reviewed that work. Because as you can imagine, sometimes when you ask teachers to do something, there may be the thought that nobody's going to look at it anyway. Nobody looks at Atlas. Right, so it was important to us to maintain that transparency and that commitment to the work. Just as we asked them to commit to it, we wanted to demonstrate our commitment. So again, in a collaborative move, Ms. Provo and I had both of our department head meetings today downtown at Old Village to give them the results of that review, which they will then take into their respective departments. But again, that's done together, right? So both of the 8th grade English teachers are going to take those back to their respective buildings and say, okay, this is what they gave us, right? They looked like they said they were, and here's what we got. Going forward into April and next year, now that we have kind of established the what we are doing in classes on a given day, now we can start looking at that assessment conversation, right? How do we measure that? And then how do we fuel it on the day-to-day with those common activities and anchor moves? So I'm going to, Ms. Roby, you want to introduce this part because this is your magic right here.
So you can hear from us all day long, right? We love this work and it's, our nerd heaven, but we wanted to see how teachers felt and what they would share. So we decided to get some of their feedback and yeah, it's pretty cool. Take a look. I think, did I do it? Maybe. Oh, I tried.
My name is Jason Brooks. I am an 8th grade ELA, L&L teacher and department chair here at Hillside. And I just wanted to briefly talk a little bit about what the good work is that we are doing now in Northville. Now, listen, I've been a public school teacher in Northville Public Schools for 26 years, which means I am old enough to remember when this was something that we did. So this kind of feels for me and my buddy over at Meads Mill, Mr. Jeff Bologna, like coming home to something we did really well a long time ago. And philosophically and educationally speaking, what we're doing right now is a good thing. It's not always easy work, but it is good work because in the end, it is my belief, and through what we've been doing the last year, I think in practice you can see it as our reality. When you have more voices, when you have more people saying the things and doing the work that brings people together educationally speaking, it's always better for kids. So I appreciate that we have been given this more time and we're putting it to good use.
Okay. Hi, my name is Tanya Traylor. I am a 6th grade language and literature teacher here at Meads Mill, as well as our Langen Lit department chair. The last few meetings have been really great to be able to collaborate with Hillside. We've had the chance to go back and revamp some of our units by reflecting on what's working, what's not. Moving forward, we've also had the opportunity to talk about how we're handling grammar in both buildings, trying to build consistency. So no matter what school, what classroom the kids are in, they're seeing some of the same things. In addition, we're also looking forward to having the opportunity to begin to collaborate with inter-rater reliability, looking at our common assessments, seeing how those are equal across buildings. Also the opportunity to start analyzing how student work is being produced and how our teaching's reflecting into that. But overall, it's been a great experience.
Hi, I'm Christy Maurer, and I teach math here at Meads Mill, and I'm also the mathematics department chair. So this year, as we've been able to meet more often with Hillside, with the math department, it's really been great. We used to meet quite a bit with the other building, and we would kind of plan things together, and we've been a little disconnected. So it was nice to get back together. We really had to revamp things since we had a new curriculum. And so being able to meet and look at our units and match things up with our new curriculum, it was nice to do that together because there was a lot of work to uncover. And we have looked at some data in terms of the PSAT and SAT data from the last few years. There's been a bit of a downward trend, and we tried to analyze reasons and come up with some potential things that we could address in order to get our kids back on track and get more of our students meeting the minimal proficiency on the SAT. Another thing that we've been able to do a lot this year is with the BTC strategy. We've been meeting actually pretty frequently, and we're able to get in each other's classrooms and plan lessons together. And this has been a great way to kind of collaborate and see other people's approaches to teaching and to tackle a new strategy for all of us as a group. And so it makes it a lot less intimidating, and it lets us share ideas and get more creative as a whole.
So the way that we've brought Meads and Hillside together in the last couple of years is that we have incorporated our unified week together. and we get together for our silent disco. So we have a bus that brings our Meads students over from Meads Mill to Hillside so that we can have an after-school dance, which is our silent disco, which has been really awesome. The next thing that we have done is that this year we were able to partner with Meads to have some of their students play on our unified basketball team. So we had 4 students who came over this year. A couple of them were peers and a couple of them were mentors. So it's been really nice to be able to include Meads Mill with Hillside for our basketball.
All right, so some voices from the front lines, right, on this work that they're doing, and we're just getting started. And as we go forward, they'll learn these procedures and protocols, and it can only go up from here. So very excited to continue the work. Yeah, would you like to?
No, I think this is some of the most foundational work that we can be doing. Thinking about my own time in the classroom. And I think about this as an administrator. I don't know that a PD that I went to, a book that I read, somebody who gave me a speech made me a better teacher. I think what made me a better teacher was watching teachers teach and seeing what was happening in Tina Edgar, wherever you are out there, Tina Edgar, I love you. Seeing what she was doing in the classroom, seeing what my colleagues were doing, the questions they were asking, the assessments that they were giving, and realizing that I could improve my practice and do a little bit more. And then as I became a more experienced teacher, doing that same thing. As Ms. Provost said, this work is hard. Trying to do it by yourself is even harder. So trying to share that load, one, lessens your own workload, but it just makes you a better teacher. So I'm happy that, as the teacher said, we've returned to our roots and we are re-engaging in that work. So thank you.
Oh. Does anyone have anything they wanted to share?
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
I recently, in the last couple of years, gone back to teach middle school myself. So as a
hang in there.
I just want to tell you how much I really appreciated this and how much I got from it. What I was thinking about as you continued talking was how you are living out how we want our students to learn, right? You are, as an administrative team, as teachers, living how we want our students. You're working collaboratively. It's okay to disagree. How do we get through disagreement? It's okay to fail, because I'm sure there are sometimes you try something, it doesn't work for you. I was thinking about how trying to find common ground, using AI appropriately. All of those things that we talk a lot about, how we want to see our students learning and growing, how you are doing so much already, but you're saying there's always room for improvement. How can we work together to improve? How can we work across different schools, a rivalry coming together? So I just really, to me, there was so much wonderful things that you said, and really a lot of, I think, very high level goals that educationally speaking across the board that many districts could learn from. I also just really want to thank you for how you're modeling what we want our kids to do. I think that's really important. And maybe they don't see that. Maybe they're not saying, oh, did those teachers get that atlas updated? But sometimes the way we live, we can feel that in the way we live, how we're showing ourselves and how we're working together. The students pick up on that, right? I mean, you could see it tonight in the way that they were speaking and working together. I'm so excited for that dance. Ms. McIntyre told me I could chaperone if I was that excited. I'm not that excited, but I'm really excited for that.
No.
But I just am so impressed by them. And I think that it just comes from what you guys are showing them in the buildings and the teachers as well. And I'm very excited to see some very familiar faces in that video and people that we've learned a lot from at other meetings who are saying, hey, we can do more, we can learn more. We're excited to learn from each other and keep working. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I would. Go ahead.
I wanted to underscore, I'm really grateful for all of the efforts that you've been putting in to address kind of that trend that we'd been seeing, the downward trend in the SAT scores. And scores are just one snapshot, but I appreciated the willingness to kind of dig into that and to really talk about, I think from our seats, we do hear a lot from the community, like, why is Hillside so different than Meads Mill? And why is it such a vastly different, educational experience? And sometimes that's just parents also hearing and making some assumptions, but also you believe what your kids say, and I don't know, there's the stuff that just travels, right? It has legs, words that have legs that may or may not be true, but certainly I appreciate that you have been attending to that and attuning to what people have said and uncovering that there were some things that were different. And each school has its own culture and its own history, and so taking that into account. And I think that's probably got to be some of the disagreement too, that every building has its own perspective on things. So bridging that gap and even creating space for people to have disagreements is really brave. So thank you for doing that work. I believe we will see that pay off, and we'll see how those rewards come to life with our kids, right? And maybe it's test scores, that's one part of it, but even seeing the kids collaborating on a dance. And I'm a parent that's been in the district for a long time, that we didn't even offer a dance for our middle school kids, right? That there was a different school in our community that offered those dances for kids, which as a parent, I always thought that was kind of an interesting thing, that I'm glad that we are taking those risks and trying that. And it seems like the kids are leading that. So when kids are leading it, and they're also probably setting some limits and some expectations for themselves and for their peers, what a win-win for our whole community. And then it will lead up to Northville High School, right? That we are creating leaders that will lead beyond Northville High School and will step into positions like Northville Youth Network and do other amazing things for our community. So those are the deep roots, but also those branches that grow. So thank you. I'm excited for that.
So I'm in medical. I love standards. So this is actually super exciting to me. And I'm like, this
Nerd alert.
presentation is awesome. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I was interested to know, is there any like power dynamic with Meads Mill being so much smaller than Hillside with, the collaboration?
I think there is obviously some difference, and Meads Mill is about half the size of Hillside, so we have less teachers, right? And so I think there's a risk for teachers to feel like, oh, we get bowled over by the Hillside staff, and they have been working so well together. It's, as I tell Mr. Jones all the time, I refuse to compete. I will only support and collaborate. So we want to build that same culture with our teachers and our kids. So it's definitely something that, we're working on. But I will say this, our teachers have worked together for a really long time. And as they said in the video, it is like coming home. They have those relationships. It's just a matter of sitting down and reestablishing the purpose of creating this unifying, experience for our kids. And our teachers have that beautiful teacher heart, and they want that for our kids. So while it is a struggle, mostly because it's new and we're working through it, but as we go, this is a cycle, right? This is the school improvement cycle. We look at our data, we sit together, we look at our curriculum, what could we change, where are gaps showing up, and then we go through the whole thing again. So this is the first time, but there will be so many more, and each time we go through that cycle, improvements happen.
And I did want to say did you have something to add to that?
I just, because you hit a nerve when you said from the medical perspective, right? Rounding and thinking about instructional rounds. When Ms. Provo and I work together here at Hillside, we dip some toes into the instructional rounds as a district through coaching and building thinking classrooms. And Dr. Zielinski, like, we're doing some of those things again. But this work lays that foundation. But there's not a point to going to see somebody else's classroom if you're not even teaching the same things at the same time. Right. So I think, owing to the medical profession, that idea that it's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about where are those practices, what are the best practices, and how do we make that then the standard of care in every classroom.
And then the messaging that it's not a Hillside experience or a Meads Mill, but it's a Northville experience, that is so strong. I don't know who came up with that, but that was great messaging. That is so strong. I love it. And then I did want to say, I was at the band performance here last night. Mrs. Nugent, she's a gem. I was so pleased with that. I brought my kids, they loved it. And like the 7th grade jazz band busted out with Inner Sandman from Metallica. And I'm like, it was amazing. So thanks for all the other teachers too. The music was wonderful. And Meads Mill went to multicultural night, ate way too much food. The middle schools are doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
I was really impressed to see on your presentation that you'll be using some common MYP assessments. I came from a district where I taught English, and we used the MYP rubrics in all of our English classes across the high school. And it took a while to get everybody on board with that and, you know, get them thinking in a similar way. But the feedback that we heard overall was so positive about, you know, my classroom, you know, having a similar grading as another English teacher's classroom, and, you know, the kids knew what to expect. So I'll be really interested to see how these MYP assessments kind of work out for both buildings. And just what everybody else has said, you know, that word collaboration has come up so much. And I was super impressed to see that the students are hosting the combined dance, because not even from like just the ability for them to meet each other really and start building those relationships before they even get to the high school. And, you know, you're not going to get there and it's going to be, oh, Meads and Hillside. Like, you know, to Jenna's point, it's the Northville experience. So while you have your unique identities, we're kind of, you know, falling under that umbrella there. So that's great. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
As a student who moved around every 2 years, there are still instances where I'll be talking with another adult and they'll say, oh, do you remember, you know, whatever, 4th grade when we learned this? And I'm like, no, I think I missed that in all of my moves. And I think it's so important that we're creating equity and just making sure that all of our students in Northville are having, you know, obviously a different experience in each middle school and each elementary school, but also, you know, that common Northville experience. And then I don't want to make you go back in your presentation, but I think one of my favorite redos of the logos is the Meads Mill. It is phenomenal. And I love it so much. And I hope that all of Meads Mill does too.
Well, it's growing on us. We're getting there. We're going to get some new spirit wear.
Yeah.
And we're in the process. But yes, it's beautiful.
I love it. I love it so much.
Are we going down the line? All right. So teaching and learning is my jam too. So I'll try not to say so much about it, but I have just a reaction to the vehicle with all kinds of layers of things pasted on it. It was, you know, enormous and overwhelming. And I'm sure that's the way it feels sometimes to classroom teachers, but I think that what you need to do is have a second slide after that has the Maserati on it, because really that's what you get when you really have the collaboration and the continuity and the standards driven kinds of curriculum. So it isn't going to be that we keep doing what we've always done and then just add more. We're going to let go of some stuff. We're going to throw out some ballast if you're into sailing. So I think that's a beautiful vision for the outcome of this hard work. And it is hard. I mean, you know, every teacher has got their little favorite thing that they want to cling to, that I've done always. I've always done this, but it might not be producing the outcome that you think or that you could achieve with change. So just leading and making change a comfortable process, I think, is, you know, what you're doing with your faculty. So I fully realize that there's a lot of language that used at the middle school that is unfamiliar to me, frankly. I had to, what's the assessment? MYP, so that was a little unfamiliar to me. Maybe I should know what that means, but obviously
Middle years program, part of IB.
middle years program. Oh, it's an IB
Yep.
thing. Okay,
It's the
I
start.
thought it was an IB thing. Okay, so there's just a learning curve for some of us at the table, but I also you mentioned Melissa, that when you think about the continuity and the improvement in quality at the middle school, you also embrace the elementary years into that too. So, we have 6 elementaries in this district, and it would be, maybe there'll be some opportunity for this kind of effort to benefit at the lower grades that are feeding into your middle schools respectively. But the other thing, this is the other thing, and RJ, I'll look at you when I say this, is that when we have this shared consciousness of middle school being a Northville experience, I wonder and I hope that it helps us hang on to our students in the transition to the high school, because we know there's very many opportunities for our students to go in different directions rather than to stay in the district. And I hope that just gives them more to think about and to feel proud of being a Northville student. So just some odd comments, but it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited about the guaranteed and viable curriculum. And Melissa, you kind of got me hooked on that in our conversations, and I think it's such a great thing. I think my colleagues have said so much about that part of the presentation better than I can. But I was really excited to have the students in here for their presentation, what they're doing in student council. I'm big on student leadership, and I love that they're taking charge, they're doing things that are important to them, and that they're learning that they can have an impact on this world. Big or small, they can start somewhere. I think I saw on one of those slides, when the amazing cards that they wrote, and I thought didn't it say that there was one person who said, that's the only card I got? Mm-hmm. And that's just wonderful that they can, big or small, they can have that impact. And I think it's one of the things that makes Northville really exceptional. And I love that, you're both, and everyone at your schools, that you're really pushing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll summarize a couple things that our board said that really resonated with me. First, I want to go with Melissa. When you talked about this notion of providing equity, what we like to call it is an equity of opportunity. And what we can do, what we can guarantee is that we can work together. We can make sure that no matter what one of the 6 elementaries you're at, what 3rd grade teacher you have, what 7th grade social studies teacher you have, that students will emerge with a similar educational experience as far as what we're doing. What does that let us do? It lets us do a lot of things. One of the math teachers, Mauer, talked about, we're analyzing some dips that we've noticed, and what are we doing to attend to them? This is the work you do to get there. You analyze it, the teachers are working together. In the days that we've provided for PD, help is Bill and the teachers up here and Melissa talked about. But Melissa, I want to go back to this. What's even more important in my mind is that any parent and any kid knows that every barrier that these thoughtful educators have seen in the progression they may have is taken away. Opportunity is a beautiful word, because you have to provide it, in my opinion, which is what we're doing. But you also have to take the opportunity you're given. So there's agency. So as our students ladder up from elementary into middle school, one of the things that the people to my left are really, really good at is helping with that gradual release of not only responsibility, but educational attainment. And so I'm grateful to the parents who see what we're trying to do and support us at home in that way. And just as we provide opportunities, not everybody will take the opportunity or utilize it, but I believe it's incumbent upon us to provide them. And that extends to our social emotional learning and what we're doing, providing as many outlets as we can for parents and students to utilize to be as well as they can be. To what Ron said, absolutely. I know that there's a board member, I won't say who who's interested in pursuing some opportunities with our senior population in Northville. And to me, we saw, how can you see this presentation and not see how good that could be? The only card that they've had in a year. We have a community of people who are retired who I am sure would love to give back to our schools and be part of our schools in some way. And so everything you noted, and Karen, the way you started it out, like, this is it. How, if you want to know the best way, I think I've said this before, I asked a researcher, Mark Brackett at Yale, who wrote a book called The Ruler Project, or created The Ruler Project, and has a wonderful book about, feelings and how to address them. I had like 2 minutes with him as a new dad. And I said, Dr. Brackett, what do I do as a dad to be a good dad? And first he was getting ready to do a presentation. So I think he was like, who are you? Why are you in my face? I got to get on stage. I said, I got to go. I need to know. And he said to me, what you noted they're doing and we are doing as a district. It is how you model your life. Not about asking why a kid did something, or not about a whole list of consequences or advice, but really about how we choose to treat each other, how we choose to work with each other, how we choose to be in this world. And Bill, or could you go back to the disagreement matrix that you had there? Or lines. I should have had a cough drop, sorry. I think it's just allergies. But this whole piece is very clear, and it's something that is mature directness, which I appreciate so much. Like, here's the sitch. We can go ahead, and the teachers are the ones who are truly driving this. And if the teachers come to consensus on this, good to go. We trust our teachers. All due respect, I think Bill said this, he's not a math teacher. For him to go in there and opine on high that somehow that our incredible math teachers didn't put the right stuff in or map the curriculum correctly would be discourteous and disrespectful. Instead, what do? We provide them with the resources they need, whether it's time or material support, but the expertise they have in analyzing that data and looking at it's there. And very rarely will it ever get to 3 or 4. It just, that is the case. And I think Emily does a great job of saying this as well. Like, if you want to kick it up to Colt and Dr. Weber, they can make the decision. I don't know why you would want to give your agency away. And that's just a healthy way to do life. Like, there's the agency, bang it out, get to consensus, and let's move on. So really grateful for all of the comments that each of you made tonight, because to me, this is a definitely a curriculum nerd who did this work for 12 years. If I look at 12 years in a previous gig, the most important thing that our staff did from a cultural building, from an equity of opportunity standpoint, and eventually to a performance standpoint, was this curricular work. And it does take this time, and it does take the days, but the absolute benefit for each of our 7,000 kids is there. It's so high yield. I'm going to go back to an equity of opportunity. And tomorrow, this is wonderful. Atlas, the titan behind Northville's guaranteed and viable curriculum, Crystal Muhammad and Jennifer Lawson will be presenting tomorrow on our use of Atlas and talking about what we've started this year and what we've committed to. And I'll finish with this. You've heard me say this. One of the metrics I judge this district on is how do we use our privilege to help other kids around this state. And so when we have administrators going and saying, we'll do a presentation for you about what we're doing, we're not saying it's the way, but it's working pretty well for us, that makes me exceptionally proud. And big ups to Ms. Muhammad and Ms. Lawson for doing that. And for the combined middle schools, I want to thank Lisa McIntyre and Megan Irving. They spent a lot of time helping to get some ideas on how we formulate it during our board meetings. And as I sat here through this meeting, the thing was, you are walking the talk. We can talk about collaboration, we can show a slide or two, or we can show up as human beings and actually show to our board, our community, we're working together. And the combined dance sounds awesome. Karen, did you say you are chaperoning, or is that Meredith? Who's Jenna? I'm just trying to pin it down there. But that's a beautiful thing as well. So to Patrick, Will, Kelly, yourself, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right. So that brings us to public comments. No card? No public comment? All right. Okay. Well, then we get to roll on with the exciting. So we have some new teacher hires. So Mr. Frazier, I'm going to turn it over to you to read our next motion, please.
Okay, I'd like to bring forth motion number 97, that the board award a one-year prorated probationary NEA contracts to the following staff for the 2025-26 school year as presented.
Support.
Okay.
Did I support?
Yeah, do you want to, you got to read the names though, right?
I jumped in.
Oh, did
Did you read the teacher names?
read down. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's okay.
So the three are Macy Burnett, NHS, 1 FTE, Melissa Dougherty, Cook School, 1 FTE, and Lauren Spalding, NHS, 1 FTE.
Okay, now support.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm glad you still support it.
Preempted.
All right. Okay. Before we commence with the vote, if we could maybe hear a little bit more about these wonderful teachers.
Absolutely. Thank you, President Meyer. Excited to recommend 3 hires this evening. They're all with us. I think they hung in there. Yep, there they are. All right, so we'll start in order up there. Melissa Dowdy is a recommendation for Cook. She has previous connections here to Northville. She had previously been working in Harrison schools, but more recently she's been a substitute teacher at Cook. And it was her past experience that called Melissa back to Cook. Her brother had been a student at Cook, interestingly, and Cook proved to be a place that not only her brother loved, but also her family loved as well. After graduating with her Bachelor's of Arts degree in special education from CMU, Melissa relocated to the Harrison, Michigan area, where she taught for 5 years as a special education teacher at the elementary level as part of Harrison Community Schools. During her tenure in Harrison, Melissa worked with students who possessed many of the same needs that our Cook students have. More recently, Melissa, who also holds a master's degree in special education from Oakland University, relocated back to the Metro Detroit area and quickly pursued opportunities with Cook, something we are glad that she did. Her former principal and colleagues all vouched for Melissa, speaking to the terrific work she did with students, including the strategies she regularly developed for managing student behaviors. And our experience with her substituting at Cook has been no different. Our interview team is pleased to recommend Melissa Dowdy to the board for hire this evening. And Melissa is seated next to Jen Bugar there. Welcome, Melissa. And then Lauren Spalding. Lauren Spalding, bear with me here. Brings 15 years of teaching experience. She started her career in Arizona and thereafter returned back to her home state of Michigan, where she has since been teaching at Divine Child High School. While our interview team was impressed with Lauren's teaching experience, her other experiences also proved to be appealing, including her roles as an instructional coach, link crew coordinator, and English department chair, just to name a few. One of Lauren's former administrators who I had reached out to shared how recently she had been discussing with a teaching colleague that had shared time in working with Lauren. The two of them had been reflecting on great teachers that they had both encountered over their careers, and Lauren's name was actually the first name to come about. The feedback Lauren's former administrator and other references provided supported that characterization. Great teacher. Lauren and her family reside in Northville, and Lauren shared that the experience she and her family have had with Northville Public Schools has in part attracted her interest to teaching here in her home community. Lauren holds a bachelor's degree in secondary English education and a master's degree in teaching and curriculum, both from Michigan State University. We're excited to recommend Lauren Spalding for hire this evening, and Lauren's seated over here to my left. And then last but certainly not least, Macy Burnett also has a connection to Northville, which is interesting about all three of our hires this evening. I'll get to that in just a minute, but Macy holds a Bachelor of Science from Eastern Michigan University in special education with a specialization in autism spectrum disorder. She holds her master's from EMU in curriculum and instruction. We were fortunate to have Macy as a student teacher a couple years ago, as well as an ESY paraprofessional back when she was completing her bachelor's degree. Macy left a great impression on those she interacted with at that time. And while Macy has since indicated she was hoping for a vacancy in Northville when she graduated with her bachelor's, she secured a position with Livonia Public Schools and has since been teaching at the high school level, ASD, in an ASD classroom at Churchill High School. When our ASD teaching position materialized here in Northville, Macy's cooperating teacher from her student teaching, Kelly Prezakevich, encouraged Macy to apply, and we're grateful she did. As we learned from both her interview and her reference checks, Macy has wonderful connections with students and truly invests herself in their growth. We look forward to the work Macy will do with our ASD students at Northville High School and the overall impact that she'll have on the district's ASD program. And Macy is seated back here directly behind me. So with that, on behalf of the Central Office administrative team, I recommend this evening that the Board of Education approve probationary contracts for Lauren Spalding, Macy Burnett, and Melissa Dowdy for the 25-26 school year. And obviously you have the supporting documentation in your board packets, and I'm happy to take any questions you might have. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. That's really exciting. I mean, we're going into the fourth quarter of the year, so it's wonderful that we can find these excellent candidates at this time period. And I just really enjoy the Northville connection, that your experience here has made you want to come back in one capacity or another. So very excited about that. And thank you for bringing forward these wonderful candidates. So with that, Trustee Frazier has brought forth a motion supported by Vice President Stewart. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, welcome.
Welcome.
Ms. Keefe, you have to be pretty excited. Yeah. Look at what you just added to the bench. Holy mackerel. And what it says about obviously our team, Brian, Rebecca, Jen, it's difficult to find teaching talent, especially this time of year, especially special education. And that we just added 3 people to our community that look amazing and I'm sure are amazing. Super grateful. And the story of your brother being a cook really hit me. And so Melissa, thank you for that. Has to be a pretty powerful experience to go back into that space and that commitment there. So thanks for having the heart you do. And anyone who works with students with IEPs, they deserve all the love and attention that public schools give them, because as you know, public schools serve each student in a community. IEPs, 504s, love them, support them, and get after it for each one of them. So thank you all for being those people.
All right. Well, do we have any added agenda items this evening? Okay. Any public comments? Okay. Well, that being said, then
Can I just make one quick comment?
Sure.
I didn't know if that went under the added agenda, but it's not an added item. I stopped at NHS's coffee chat this morning, which I just wanted to note for all of the high school parents out there is such a great opportunity to go in and meet with the counselor. Mr. Koski is usually there as well, and just a really great informal opportunity to ask some questions. Today they were talking a lot about the because there's like another week or a couple days left of registration, but the topic was a lot about registration and NCAA credits, specifically classes that qualify students if they think they might be playing athletics or sports when they go on. But coffee chat is really great. So I just wanted to lift that up because I'm not sure that a lot of people know that coffee chat exists. So check it out.
All right.
What about this? I see that we have something under
Oh, yes.
our board packet, the save the date for the walk and roll for Cook School. So thank you for, I'm sure you hand delivered these to us. I appreciate that, Ms. Bugar.
All right. At 8:17, I am going to end the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.